Shots were fired on the Susquehanna Trail somewhere.
At some point,
two suspects.
To start this incident, one of the subjects left the vehicle. The other tried to follow, could not. Approached two homes. He then ran across the street. Was able to gain access to 1040 from the basement. There he encountered the officer in the basement.
What, Trooper, I guess it was a little unclear the two vehicles. So one was the guy who
two known subjects to each other.
Two known subjects.
We're not
are they related?
We're not sure of their connection. We're not sure what their tiff was with each other at this point.
So there was a dispute between
Yes,
them on Susquehanna Trail, and shots were fired
between two individuals. One in a Mercedes, I guess. One in a
Not sure.
okay, one in a van,
Or van, yeah.
and another
In a car.
Okay, thanks. All right, so that's how it all started.
Correct.
And then eventually they fired shots at him. Were both of them shooting at each other, or just?
I believe at this point just one.
Okay, that's the individual that's now under arrest. That's the individual.
In the hospital.
Right. Thank you.
Have charges been filed, or
Not yet.
okay?
Yeah, that's still being formulated by the investigator.
Okay.
All right. So would you please describe how this all came to a conclusion?
Sure.
As best you can.
Sure. After the subject left his vehicle to the rear of these two homes, he tried to make entrance into 1035 and 1045. He was not able to do so, so he ran across the street to 1040, ran to the rear of that residence, entered the basement through an unlocked door. There he encountered the Northern York Regional Officer. At that point, the subject fired a shot at the officer. The officer returned fire, striking this subject in the rear area. The subject ran from the residence and was apprehended in the front yard.
How many shots did he fire at the Northern York County Regional Police Officer, if you know?
We're not sure at this point.
Okay.
They're still gathering the casings from the
How many shots did the officer fire at the suspect?
and they're still gathering that evidence also.
Okay.
When you talk about rear area, do you know like exactly where he was shot, or?
I heard the buttocks
Okay.
as he turned around.
But he shot first at the officer.
He
Did
shot
come down the steps?
as he was down the steps. The officer was in the basement. The subject saw the officer and fired at the officer.
Wow.
Trooper, is it?
Fired back again, and that's what he done it. Okay. And just, sorry guys, I don't remember more here. Can you just, how you said this started with on the
Susquehanna
road?
Trail?
Yeah, what happened? What went down?
Essentially, we don't know their dispute. The shots were fired from one vehicle to another. Two known subjects to each other, which they ended up to the rear of these homes in the field. They exited the vehicles. One took off. The other then tried to gain access to these two rear homes. Could not. Ran across the street, gained access to the basement, 1040 through an unlocked door.
What did he want in these homes? I mean, it sounds so bizarre. It doesn't sound like this guy has a connection to this neighborhood. I mean, was he a burglar? Was he not? Was he looking for some place to just get away?
At this point, we don't know his motive for, number one, possessing a firearm, number two, using that firearm. One would think if he fled his vehicle, he was looking for a place either to hide or to escape.
Did the other person he had a dispute with didn't follow him up?
No,
here,
he
or?
did not. They went separate ways.
Was that person armed?
I don't know.
Was that person been charged
Have
or
you guys
arrested?
found that other person?
Not to my knowledge. I can ask.
So the other suspect is on the loose.
I don't know where he would be.
I think earlier that was
Yeah.
what she said.
He said that they
considering him a victim.
spoken with
The other person.
That could be.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that could be.
And going back to the original phone call from Shrewsbury, was this the brother-in-law and the husband? Do you know more about their relationship?
I don't.
Were they brothers?
All I know is that they were known to each other.
Were they both men?
Yes.
Do you know their names at all, ages, where
I
they're
don't.
from?
I don't.
Okay.
Now tell us why state police are involved.
The state police are involved at the request of the chief of police and the district attorney's office. Because of the officer-involved shooting, we would then come in and conduct the investigation.
It's all part of normal procedure, I imagine?
Correct.
Take me through that procedure, just kind of why you guys become involved in this.
In a critical incident such as this, when your own department is involved, you want an outside unbiased force to come in, make sure that everything is covered from A to Z to make sure it's done correctly.
So when will this neighborhood be released, so to speak?
As soon as the crime scene here is cleared and all the evidence is collected, that is being mapped and collected as we speak.
So what is left of the crime scene right now?
Right now we have shell casings and articles of clothing that were discarded, and I think that's it.
Inside this house or along the Susquehanna Trail?
Along the side of the house.
Along the side of the house. How many spent bullet casings are there?
I don't know.
I know Chief Bensel mentioned the guy had a semi-automatic weapon.
Could be. I
Okay,
don't know.
you don't know.
And to clarify what happened in the basement, because as you said, the suspect came down while the officer was already there. Is there any understanding of where the suspect was coming from? Was he inside the house elsewhere?
The suspect was outside of the house,
Okay.
and he came
Never
in
got
the house
outside.
from the rear.
He never got inside the house until the end. When he
He
went down to the
came through the
basement.
basement doorway.
Right. And
Then he was followed by the officer. Not
Officer
followed,
was
but
already
came in second.
No, officer was already in the basement. Officer came through the front of the house.
So the officer was in the basement, and then was the suspect already in the house?
He was coming down to enter the house. Correct.
Okay.
Joe Raspberry, let's do it from a different way. Your reaction, we have a guy that is coming down the steps. The Northern York County Regional Police Officer is in the basement.
Yeah.
This guy's got a gun. He's ready to fire a shot. He fires a shot. How lucky is this Northern York County Regional Police Officer as things turned out?
Right. The officer used cover. He was able to, once he saw the suspect come down, he was able to protect himself with structure, and he was very lucky in that case because it was very poorly lit in the basement.
He could have been killed easily.
Very much so, yes.
And just to, just to kind of dovetail on that, and there's been so much attention to officer shooting and all of this. Not this case specifically, but can you speak about how difficult those seconds are when an officer has a second fire?
If you can imagine yourself in your basement, turning around the corner and facing someone with a gun, it happens that fast.
How many seconds are we talking about here?
As much as it takes to take a breath.
And so the basement, was it the door from the outside of the house? Can you get
Correct.
in from the
It
outside?
was a cellar basement door.
Okay, and the officer had entered from
From the front of the house.
of the house.
Yeah.
So kind of met
Yeah.
the
Not
suspect
sure where
coming
the
around
suspect
back.
was.
Okay,
Kind of met him coming in.
I think that's typical. The
Front of the house.
Okay, Chief said that he saw the back of it.
No, the suspect was going back door, and then he met.
Yeah, the chief had said he had seen an open door, and that's what kind of went
But so
confusing.
the officer went in the front door, and then he was in the basement.
He went down to the house.
So the officer's in the basement. At that point, the suspect was into the house.
Well, any idea why the officer decided to go in? And I mean, that seems like
Yeah.
luck that he would happen to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Seemed pretty lucky that he'd happen to see the suspect.
Right. And yeah.
Can we get your first name real quick?
Oh, Edward Asbury.
Do you prefer to go by Edward or Ed?
Ed's fine. Whatever you want to say.
ED.
Thank you.
Yep. And, then our next thing we'll do is they're going to collect all the evidence. Going to get some charges typed up on this guy. He's in surgery now.
Do you have any idea on condition?
I would say not life-threatening. Gonna
Okay.
have a sore rear end, but
But I
Never know.
Not released.
right. That'll be and hopefully they'll send me the charges and I can email them all out to you. You can have the whole story written. It'll appear in the document.
So you expecting charges later this afternoon then?
It'll be later this evening. Yeah.
Later this evening.
5 o'clock.
Like, don't mess up, don't mess up my life.
Let me go tell him. Wait, I'll be right back.
Thank you.
What's that? I don't know.